as watch collectors and enthusiasts, we all seem to have one thing in common. We strive to look for something unique, something different. But at the same time, it has to be well made. And hopefully it falls within our budget, and above all, it must resonate with us. In other words, it's got to look good. Now, the watch sparked my interest when I first saw it because of a few reasons. Firstly, I like the overall layout and design. That K-shape has excellent ergonomics, and the way it's been undercut, the way it fits on the wrist and works when you move your wrist is really good. Also, the attention to detail seems to separate this watch from the crowd. And having this watch on the wrist for the past week, I think it comes close to ticking all the boxes that I like in a watch, and even surprising me in some areas. Now, that said, no watch being perfect, there's always something we encounter in the wrist experience that poses a few potential question marks. Questions as to how things could have been done better. And of course, I will share my findings with this watch in the gripe section of this video. Now, you saw the pop-up, Camp Watches has sponsored this video, so I will of course leave a link in the description section. If this or any of their watches interest you, feel free to check them out. And diving straight into the specs of the watch, I measure a case diameter of 39 and a case height of 10.2. That lug to lug is 46.9 and a lug width of 20. The crown is a 5.5mm signed push-pull crown. The watch offers 100 meters of water resistance, and the total weight on this leather strap I measure exactly 60 grams. Now, this is not the strap that actually came with the watch, but I've been wearing it on this all week. It's been super comfortable, and I've almost not known that the watch has been on my wrist. Now, although I've worn it on this aftermarket strap, the watch actually comes with 3 of its own. You got a vintage bond clip style bracelet, which I think suits the watch's look and aesthetics really well. I think steel on steel seems to match this watch really nicely, and the comfort on the bond clip has been a no-brainer. Next strap that comes with the watch is a water-resistant Cordura nylon. Now, it's got orange lining, and I think style-wise, it also seems to suit the watch's aesthetics. The hardware is good. In fact, the hardware is very good, beautifully machined, excellent attention to detail, albeit the strap did take about a day or two to break in. And lastly, there's also a soft Italian full-grain leather with appropriately orange stitching to match that dial. So for me, I've tried it on all of these straps, and in the end, I've settled on this aftermarket strap, and I'll explain why in my gripe section. Now, a real standout for this watch is that enamel dial. The dial itself has 15 layers of stove-enameled burlap Swiss lacquer. It's hand-rubbed and oven-cured, producing a total thickness of 1.3mm. Now, the colour is called Malaga Red, and that comes from BMW's paint palette. And I think as far as tonality and depth, they've absolutely nailed it. Now, in conjunction with that font, I think this dial looks really schmick. And if you've never seen that font before, it's been revived from a 1940s Ford Standard Coupe. Again, it's a rare font, and I'm really happy that they've actually used it here because it really makes this dial sing. It's different, it's funky, it's got a form of playfulness, and yet it just seems to work. Now, the glass on top of this watch also has to do a lot with the vibe that's coming off that dial. And here they've chosen a top hat dome sapphire crystal with inner AR coating. Now, alongside with that stepped bezel, I think it really offers a unique personality to this watch. Now, whilst we're on that dial, let's have a look at that lume. The watch offers Swiss superluminova on the hands and numerals, and I think it's executed tastefully and very playfully. It's well thought out, albeit the quantity of lume could have been better, but I don't know if that's possible. Given the size of the handset, the delicateness of those markers, I think it's on the border of what's physically possible. Nonetheless, if I turn the watch over, you'll notice there's an exhibition caseback. And behind that caseback is a Swiss Sellita SW210 manual winding movement. They've got an accuracy of around plus or minus 12 seconds per day, and this particular one has been running at exactly plus 11 seconds on the time grapher. And lastly, before I get into any gripes or room for improvement, the price. The watch comes in at around $13.98 Australian dollars, and that's under $1,000 USD. So for the attention to detail, the enamel dial, the Swiss movement, the uniqueness, the fact that it offers 3 straps, I think this watch is pretty much on par. And on that note, what are my gripes or room for improvement of this watch? And I have a few of them. First and foremost, the straps. And I have different issues with different straps. With the Cordura, I found it a little bit difficult getting it on and off my wrist. Now, there's no give in the actual strap, and if I get it to a comfort point where the watch sits nicely, I really can't get it off easily. It's a bit of a struggle. If I go a little bit looser, that does help, but then the watch seems to sit loosely on my wrist. That's something that I've experienced on the wrist, so I opted not to wear it on this strap because of that reason. Next, I've also worn the watch on this leather strap, and for me, comfort-wise, although it is comfortable, I just really would have loved to see a bigger taper from the lug end side to the buckle, because visually I think it would have aligned much better with the finer lines and nuances of this watch's case design. But in the end, I found that the bond clip seems to work really nicely. I think steel on steel suits the aesthetics of the watch, but also any strap with a bigger taper really benefits this watch as it's got a thin profile and it wears beautifully. Next area or room for improvement for me is that crown. I like the knurling and the detail with their logo. It feels good, but being a manual wind watch where you'll potentially be handling that crown daily or even every other day, this really would have benefited from a slightly larger diameter crown. Just in usage, I think it would have made the hand winding experience that much easier and more pleasurable. Another observation for me has been that lume. Now, as much as I love the application of the lume, I also would have loved to see a stronger application. Now, whether or not that's a possibility is another thing, because what they've achieved here is very stylish. I think it's tastefully done, but a tad more lume strength, if possible, would have really been welcomed here. Now, I can't make it a secret, guys, I have enjoyed this watch all week on different straps, but I think it's really asking for a dedicated bracelet design, rather than the supplied bond clip, because I like the look of steel on steel with that dial. I think it works, but a dedicated bracelet, nice on-the-fly adjustment clasp, and you got a full complete package. Again, that's just my personal opinion. And lastly, the typeface on that case back, I'm in two minds about. I can see it's playful, but for me, I haven't made up my mind whether I'm a fan or not. So in that area, maybe it's something that needs to grow on you over time. And again, that's a personal gripe. But let me know your thoughts about this watch. For me, it's been a really cool, fresh, and a visually appealing experience on the wrist. And if this is the brand's first watch, then for me, that's saying something about their dedication to design and quality, the finer attention to details, and with a price coming in at around just under $1,000 USD, I think that's a very attractive proposition. Especially with that quality enamel dial and that Swiss movement. It's just been a real nice experience on the wrist. So thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day or your evening, whichever part of the world you're at. Enjoy the watch that you're currently sporting on your wrist, and we'll see you in the next one.